project was known later as the SR-71. The SR-71 had a predecessor. It had a special model built for the CIA, and those models were one passenger, one pilot special aircraft in order to get from one place to another very, very quickly. Now these SR-71s, as we know them, the Blackbird, are the type of aircraft that are still classified in a sense as far as the altitude that it flies at and also the speed records that it holds. I'm very proud to say that this aircraft played a big part in helping to end the Cold War. The aircraft, the predecessor aircraft, was strong evidence to suggest that perhaps these aircraft had a different role in the air. Each pilot, and I know a few of them, each pilot had an assignment before they took off. They learned about the assignment immediately prior to takeoff, and there's strong evidence to suggest that there was a dual role in that they were monitoring some type of traffic to and from planet Earth. This can be verified at a later point. I'll jump into my military experience. My first field assignment for the United States Air Force was at Las Vegas Air Force Station. And that was my first experience with Las Vegas, and I couldn't understand why people were being so excited about going to a place such as this, but I soon found out about a year later. Nellis Air Force Base is located there. Nellis is a major training center for different types of special aircraft and fighter aircraft, one of the premier training sites for pilots all around the world. However, when I learned that my assignment was at a radar site 50 miles out of town, up near Mount Charleston, I had no idea where I'd be, so finally in the daylight I was able to find the location and reported in 1965 for duty. In 1966, early in the morning, about 1
Request
to 2
picture.
a.m., I was sleeping.
Chalice 1, Cowboy 1-2. Request picture.
Barracks were at about 8,000 feet. I heard a lot of commotion. You know, at that altitude, sound carries tremendously. And I thought, well, it's early in the morning, it's summertime, and there is a lot, it's very warm, and maybe I should get up and take a look. I didn't really want to, but I got up and took a look, walked up to the main road up near my office, which was the commander's office. I was on the commander's staff, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Williams. And I was saying, who's making all this noise? Who's making all this noise at this time of the morning? So when I got within about 50 yards of the 4 or 5 people that were standing there, one being the chief of security, they were looking up in the air, and I said, gee, their heads were all hid, looking at the same direction. Well, I looked up to the west, northwest, and to my amazement, there were lights flashing around the sky, moving at anywhere from what seemed like 2,400 to about 3,800 miles per hour. Now, the fact that we're taking an estimate from a distance, we figured, well, this is quite something. However, we continued to watch these darting lights go across the sky and stop, absolutely stop, come to a dead stop, and reverse at an acute angle their direction, and then proceed on and they were traveling so fast that you could almost see a pattern computer.
Declare.
When you move a mouse real quick.
Chalice 1, Cowboy 1-2. Declare.
Well, that's exactly the way these 6 or 7 craft work. After 5 minutes of watching these things, they all seemed to group to the west, northwest. Okay? They started to come in on a circle. But what I would like to point out is that where they were putting on their display in the northwest sky, just directly east of that is what is known as Area 51. Area 51 is a AEC name, okay? Atomic Energy Commission. That was the old name for Atomic Energy Commission. We knew it as the Groom Lake Flight Test Facility in the Air Force. And it was where we tested our aircraft.
Looks like a Sioux.
After we got the prototype made from Skunkworks.
Cowboy 1, Cowboy 1-1. Engage targets bearing 100, 15 miles, 23,000.
And started rotating it.
Cowboy 1, you are shooter.
Well, I thought, gee, this is so
Cowboy 1, go box.
verified with the chief of security. But we waited there and turned it over for a little bit and seen, I think it was
2, Fox 3 medium.
people from Scopes, which were at 10,000,
1, pumping.
came down for their dinner at 2 o'clock in the morning.
2, Fox 3 medium.
It's a good friend of mine. And
1, engage defensive.
he
2,
said,
hit.
the sheet, and he says, did you see that? Yeah, we all said, yeah, it was a nice display. What a show. He says, we documented them on radar. He says, we didn't give them clearance. We just, the standing order was let them fly through the radar beam. He says, we documented 6 to 7 UFOs. Now, we don't know who was...
Cowboy 1, rejoin formation.
And,
Cowboy 1, you are covered.
less than disappeared. So, I will say at this point, if it's short, that I will testify under oath as to what I say is true, and I will do so before Congress.
2, Fox 3 medium.
Shaft, flare.
Pitbull.
Is a product of an arm of the Lockheed Corporation known by the improbable name Skunkworks. Skunkworks operated in
Shaft, flare.
black world, a world of spies and deception that supplied the Pentagon and the CIA with aircraft that for 50 years have given us a technological edge over everyone else in the world.
Cowboy 1, Cowboy 1-1. Engage targets bearing 080, 10 miles, 11,000.
The assembly line, the stealth
Cowboy 1, you are shooter.
what its name implies.
Cowboy 1, go box.
Invisible to radar.
Cowboy 1, rejoin formation. Cowboy 1, you are covered. Cowboy 1, Cowboy 1-1. Engage 2, Fox 3 close. 2, Pitbull. Cowboy 1, you are shooter. Cowboy 1, go box. 1, pumping.
Shaft, flare.
Cowboy 1, rejoin
Altitude.
formation.
Altitude. Shaft,
Cowboy
flare.
1, you are covered.
In the mid-1970s,
Cowboy 1, go trail.
Ben Rich went to the Pentagon with his plan to build an airplane that would be invisible to the world's air defense, the radar. The Pentagon,
Eagle 1-3, money spike.
either a genius or you've lost your mind.
Well, I went to see Bill Perry, who was then head of the DOD,
Department of Defense.
Department of Defense Research and Development. And I showed him the data. And Bill was enough of a scientist who had the foresight to say, hey, if this thing works and what you say is true, he says, we have made a tremendous breakthrough. I'm going to give you some money, and let's go on and build it.
That man who gave the okay, William Perry, is now the Secretary of Defense.
After a few hours meeting and seeing what he had there, I became convinced
My
that
sweetie.
not only was he on the track of something important,
Love you.
but it was on the track of a airplane design which would revolutionize air warfare. All of the world's air defense systems, there were
Yep.
hundreds of billions of dollars invested in these air defense systems, depend
Goofball.
on radars for the early warning, for the detection, for the tracking. And when you have an airplane that cannot be detected by the radars, it just takes the heart out of the system.
Radar detects airplanes because it sends out a radio signal that bounces off the aircraft
Thanks.
and picks up the signal on the rebound. The unusual shape of Ben Rich's stealth causes the signal to be deflected or absorbed by the airplane's special surface. When someone's sitting at radar looking for what's coming in, and you've got an F-117 coming in, what do they see on the radar?
Nothing. They would see nothing. If an F-15 came in, they'd see a bomb. An F-117 could overfly them and they'd never see it.
And they'd never see it on the
Never
radar.
see it on the radar.
So you're there before they can react.
Exactly. That's the whole secret.
And nearly everything the Skunkworks did was a secret. Named after a mythical place in the old comic strip Little Abner, Skunk Works wasn't hidden away in some remote corner. It was housed in this building in the middle of Burbank, California's municipal airport. Air travelers passed these buildings every day, never knowing that inside them was one of America's best-kept secrets.
We became equivalent to Manhattan Project,
Which built the atomic
which built the atomic bomb.
But tight security was something the Skunk Works was used to. Every project that they worked on, from building the high-flying U-2 spy plane back in the 1950s to the world's fastest airplane, the SR-71 Blackbird, was top secret. And Ben Rich lived in this world of secrets known as the Black World for 40 years. How did you live a life? I mean, what did you tell your wife?
You tell your wife nothing. She just told I was working on a secret program, and I'd go away for a week or two to our secret base, and we'd go do our job.
Cowboy 1, attack target at bearing 025, 10 miles.
Do you have to take any kind of special...
Cowboy 1,
Chaff,
you are
flare.
shooter.
When we traveled, we'd have to change our name, and I used a code name. My code name was Ben Dover.
Bend over.
Yeah. I mean, we had to add humor to the work we were doing, because we were working so intensely.
Ben Rich writes in his recently published book Skunk Works that the F-117 was developed and built in the Skunk Works
Chaff,
tradition,
flare.
a tradition that includes a well-developed disdain for bureaucrats, even when one of them is an Air Force general.
Some
Chaff,
insisted
flare.
that there was a military spec.
Chaff, flare.
SR-71
Low.
had to say U.S. Air Force and the stars and bars. I said, General,
Out.
you're crazy. I said, you know, this has the temperature of an oven.
Chaff,
Take a piece of
flare.
metal, paint it, and stick it under your boiler. You can't keep the paint on the metal. He says, no, the spec says you've got to say U.S. Air Force on our airplane.
Snake eyes. Snake eyes.
We're developing a paint.
Chaff,
It could show
flare.
white and blue. You put it on the airplane. I mean, it was just some stupid
Chaff, flare.
on some spec. Some stupid thing.
Snake eyes.
I mean, who's going to see you at 90,000?
Snake eyes.
Who was going to see you at
Cowboy 1, attack
Chaff,
target at bearing
flare.
035, 3 miles.
Chaff, flare. Altitude.
Cowboy 1, you
Altitude.
are shooter.
The Skunk Works' ability to cut through red tape.
For example, on the F-117, we had to get the guy climb into the cockpit. So I went to the local builder's mart, bought one of these ladders for $50, and we just used it.
Century bingo.
You didn't need to build
We didn't have to spend
Chalice 1, Cowboy. Cowboy 1-1, direct hit.
military special
Chaff, flare.
and we did simple things like that. I'll give you another example.
Chaff,
Sunday afternoon,
flare.
We were assembling the airplane, and we found out we had forgotten to build the shield for the exhaust pipe. It was a steel. Steel. Where am I going to get steel Sunday afternoon? So he turned around and saw a shop cabinet. He told his assistant, he says, cut the shop cabinet in.
Cowboy 1, attack target at bearing 100, 10 miles.
Century quest for lead.
Cowboy 1, you are shooter.
And where can you
Chalice 1, Cowboy 1-2, Winchester.
Well, under cover of darkness, Ben Rich's plane was dismantled and then transported to the Air Force's top-secret base at Groom Lake, Nevada. Air Force pilots Miles Pound and Barry Horn were among the first to test fly Ben Rich's revolutionary stealth fighter.
I can understand how they build a plane in secret. But how do you take pilots and you have to go out and fly this thing and test it? How do you do that and still keep it secret?
Because they did it 150 miles away from Las Vegas, away from large populations out in the middle of the...
Cowboy 1, attack target at bearing 085, 20 miles.
In the Cold War, Groom Lake was a prime target of Russian spy satellites, which took this secret photo.
Cowboy 1, Cowboy 1-1, engage targets bearing 120, 20 miles, 24,000. Cowboy 1, rejoin formation. Cowboy 1, rejoin formation.
I never flew in the daylight.
Cowboy 1, Cowboy 1-1, engage targets bearing 085, 15 miles, 1,000.
And the guys become owls.
The pilots.
Cowboy 1, Chalice 1, be advised, hostiles bearing 065. Cowboy 1-2, inbound for landing.
And they'd all...
1, Fox 3 close.
Convention, they'd all try to get...
1, Pitbull. Cowboy 1, rejoin formation.
And then they'd not go out.
Cowboy 1, you are covered.
And we made this.
Cowboy 1, Cowboy 1-1. Engage targets bearing 130, 25 miles, 9,000.
Type of a.
Cowboy 1, you are shooter.
But the true test of
Cowboy 1, go bots.
would it work in
1,
combat?
pumping.
That test came
Cowboy 1, rejoin formation.
January
Cowboy 1, you are covered.
when Desert Storm began.
Cowboy 1, Chalice 1, be advised, hostile sparing 030,
Warning,
25
warning,
miles,
warning.
20,000. Cowboy 1, Cowboy 1-1. Engage targets bearing 115, 15 miles, 17,000.
Territory, and you know that they're
Cowboy 1, you are shooter.
and it's their goal in life is to take you down. You certainly have a lot of that because we were going against what we knew to be the most lethal aerial threat that had ever been devised against an enemy, and we were their enemy.
Bogey dope.
Before the flight, question whether or not
Chalice 1, Cowboy 1-2. Request vector to threat.
Cowboy 1, Chalice 1, nearest threat, MiG-29s, 3 ship, bearing 105. Cowboy 1, Cobots.
Fucking bullshit.
Missiles were useless because they didn't do a point. Now, they tried to shoot the airplane anyway. They just took the guns and missiles and fired them at empty space, hoping that an airplane would fly through them.
They didn't even come close. They didn't know what to fire. They just fired randomly. They knew they were being killed, and then we knocked out their eyes.
After the first couple of days of the war, when we kept coming back, and all of us kept coming back, and there wasn't a scratch on the airplane, for the first time in aerial combat, a crew member was able to concentrate solely on one thing in enemy territory, and that's the destruction of his target.
Combined with the latest in laser technology, Ben Rich's F-117s devastated Saddam's military command centers in Baghdad in a series of surgical strikes.
In the F-117, you say, I want to hit the bathroom. So he'll ask you, men's room or women's room? And you'll say, women's room. He says, tell me what window.
if someone said the target was the bathroom, and they would say you want the bomb in the ladies' room or the men's
That's
room?
right. That is correct.
That's pretty good.
This was a question of technology working. It wasn't a question of good luck for you and bad luck for them.
You're talking about breakthrough technology, and to have 43 nights in a row, to have all these fighters go downtown and come back without a scratch, kind of tells everybody in the world, not only our allies, but all the potential enemies that we might have, that, you know, the Americans just came up with something that is head and shoulders above anything we've seen before. Maybe we don't want to start a fight right now. I think Saddam found that out the hard way.
And just to make sure Saddam did not forget, the Secretary of Defense told us that he sent the F-117s to the Middle East when Saddam was threatening to invade Kuwait earlier this month.
We made a point of announcing that the F-117 was going to be among the forces that we were deploying there, because what we were trying to do was deter the invasion. And I believe we were successful in deterring the invasion, and I believe that the F-117 was a very important element in that deterrence.
I don't think that there is a single F-117 pilot that has ever flown that airplane in combat that has not at one time or another, thank God that Ben Rich had enough courage to go with his convictions. I think all of us, every single guy that flew in downtown Baghdad owes his life to that kind of courage and to the people that built that airplane in this skunk work.
Shortly after we broadcast this story, the cancer that plagued Ben Rich finally caused his death. But if he is no longer with us, his genius is. Last month, the Pentagon unveiled Dark Star, a spy plane designed and built in part by Ben Rich's skunk work.
25,000. Lion 1-1. Engaging target bullseye. 145. 180 miles. 25,000. Chalice 2. Be advised hostile launch activity detected. Bullseye. 140. 160 miles. Chalice 2. Be advised hostile launch activity detected. Bullseye. 135. 200 miles. Harrier 1-1. In. Chalice 2. Be advised hostile launch activity detected. Bullseye. 135.
Cowboy 1-2. Ready for departure.
Cowboy 1-2.
Batia.
Tower. Taxi clear of the runway. Cowboy 1-2.
Batia.
Tower. You're cleared for takeoff. Runway 16. Weasel 1-1. Ready for departure. Cowboy 1-1. Ready for departure. Python 2-1. Ready for departure.
Lion 1-1. Ready for departure. Serpent 2-1. Ready for departure.
Cowboy 1-1.
Batia.
Tower. Cleared for departure. Cowboy 1-2.
Batia.
Tower. Resume on navigation. Weasel 1-1. Taxi. Cowboy 1. Go wedge. Lion 1-1. Taxi. Runway 16. Weasel 1-2. Taxi. Runway 16. Serpent 2-1.
Batia.
Tower. Cleared for departure. Serpent 2-4. Taxi. Runway 16. Lion 1-2. Taxi. Runway 16. Cowboy 1-1.
Batia.
Tower. Resume on navigation.
Altitude. Altitude.
Request picture.
Chalice 1. Cowboy 1-2. Request picture. Eagle 1-1. Engaging target bullseye. 150. 160 miles. 32,000.
Cowboy 1-2. Chalice 1. Picture is multiple groups. Air bandit at bullseye 155. 160 miles. 19,000. Chalice 2. Radar contact bullseye 155. 200 miles. 24,000. Chalice 2. Be advised hostile launch activity detected. Bullseye 145. 260 miles. Hornet 2-1. Engaging. Bullseye 170. 220 miles. 26,000. Channel 2. Radar contact. Bullseye 160. 180 miles. 24,000. Ejecting. Harrier 1-1. I see a shoot. Set up rest cap here. Chalice 2. Be advised hostile launch activity detected. Bullseye 1.
Chalice 1. Cowboy 1-2. Declare.
Hornet 2-1.
Declare.
Engaging. Target bullseye 1.
Chalice 1. Cowboy 1-2. Declare.
Fox 2. Channel 2, radar contact. Bullseye 150, 180 miles, 16,000.
Eagle 1-1, buddy spike.
Chalice 2, radar contact. Bullseye 175, 220 miles, 19,000.
Feeling out.
Hawkeye 1-2, I see a shoot. Set up red cap here.
Eagle 1-4, buddy spike.
Fox 1.